Hello all, I've been saying for quite some time on this channel that it looks like liberalism is starting to lose its power, and as that happens, the smokescreen around what it pertains to be is starting to reveal what it really is. What I mean is, its marketing presents it as something about love and tolerance and everyone getting on well while we see constant economic growth and line go up GDP politics. Remember that liberals are apparently rational and kind and led by the science, all in our liberal multicultural utopia that could never go wrong. The only issue is, more and more people are realising this whole thing is flawed. People have started to realise that the infinite groups coming here from every corner of the earth are, shock horror, different to us. They have a different outlook on life, a different set of values, a different view of the future. And this is why everyone's favourite liberal elites at the BBC get a shock every once in a while when they actually poll the public as to how they really feel about core liberal ideas.
Here is the result. Is multiculturalism working? Here is what you told us. 5% of those of you who voted said yes it is. 95% of those of you who voted this morning said no it isn't.
Oh, I love that clip. You can just picture the producers at the BBC responding to that, can't you? Shit, the stupid racist public. We need to greenlight all the shows we can. Black Romeo. Don't you know Isaac Newton was trans and Shakespeare was gay? Go, go, go! Anyway, the Liberals have got more propaganda work on their hands after decades of trying to convince us that Islam is the best thing since sliced bread. A new poll from YouGov has stated that 53% of Brits think Islam is incompatible with British values. British values, of course, just means Britain. I think it's fair to say that the 22% here who said they don't know are probably the ones who are terrified by being lectured at for being a racist and fired from their job, so you can probably count them as well. But beneath all of this is a very harsh but fair truth about life that the liberal system refuses to acknowledge, and that's that people, broadly speaking, prefer to live in their own tribes. Here on your screen is a part of London which has basically been Islamified. Now, no English person wants to live here. There's nothing wrong with them for not wanting to live here. Yet through the liberal frame, there's something apparently wrong with you if you don't wish to live here. You're racist and evil. And the very people who call you racist and evil are the very people who don't live there either. They will go and find some largely white enclave in the middle of the shires that hasn't been affected by diversity and happily live there. Now, at the root of all of this is the power of the ideology of the age, namely liberalism, the idea that humans are blank slates, we don't have any deeper aspects to us, we should just be secular, rational humanists who are more moral than everybody else, anti-racist, anti-fascist, whatever else the buzzwords are this week. Now, as I've explored many times on the channel, these beautiful liberals with their wonderful and kind ideologies are really just useful idiots for money power who are using their ideology to undermine the strength of nations and traditions in order to dominate them economically, culturally, socially, and even spiritually. Yet as dominant as the liberal system may well be, it still cannot overcome reality. And the reality is, in modern Britain, like many a Western nation, that we are deeply fractured on a root structural level, and all the liberal propaganda in the world cannot wash that away. What this means is that many Brits, like many of our fellow Europeans, are starting to feel on a very deep level that we no longer live in our home countries, we live, in the words of Keir Starmer, in an island of strangers. In essence, people feel like they're losing their soul, that they're being gutted out, that they're being oppressed by their own government who seemingly despises them. And then all it takes is one hot button issue and things can bubble over. And this leads me to the latest skirmish on the streets, this time in Norwich. Now, these are getting quite regular now, as I'm sure you know. And as you can see, these people look like working class folks from the local community that are probably concerned about what's going on. But what I found most interesting here is you can see one of them is carrying a cross. Now, I doubt these people go to church every Sunday. I could be wrong, but it seems to me that they see the cross more as symbolic of their cultural identity. It represents something like heart and soul. And to be fair to them, the heart and soul of England is being ripped out. Now, I have to say this because we're in Starmer's Britain. I don't promote any rioting, not promoting any violence. Be careful what you say online, and so on. But it seems clear here that the liberal system can't accept the fractures it's caused on a deep level in the country. Yet the reality is that the liberal system does not value Britain, it does not value England, it does not value our tradition nor the people therein. That's why everything must bow to its demands. The Anglican Church, the royal family, business, government, everything must parrot the same liberal line because it's all under the auspices of the globalist power structure now. And because the powers that be are locked in this liberal ideology, because they have no sympathy with the heart and soul of their own people and their own land, they can't understand why these fractures are happening. They simply have to reintegrate it into the liberal ideology, and all they can come back with is, it's just misinformation and hate. And to be clear, I'm sure there are some people who are misinformed. I'm sure there are some people out there who are purely motivated by hatred. I don't support that. But what I'm saying is there are deeper structural issues at play here that the system refuses to acknowledge. Now, if you don't understand the fundamental problem of an issue you're facing, it follows that your solution is by its very nature going to be incomplete. And the solution our system has come up with now, shortly after releasing the Online Safety Act, which is basically going to limit what you can see, is to create an elite police squad to monitor anti-migrant posts on social media. Of course, they will say this is only to stop riots and it's only about the hate. But remember, to these people, anything anti-liberalism is hateful by its very nature. And this is what I mean about liberalism now showing its true face. We've voted again and again against mass immigration and what follows from that. But now, gone is the Blairite marketing of it all being wonderful multicultural utopia. And now, it's you're going to get it and you're going to like it. And if you rebel, we might throw you in jail. That's right. You now have to embrace a world where Stormzy, of all people, has been given a doctorate in law from Cambridge University in, quote, recognition of his philanthropic work and impact in a number of fields including education, music, sport and literature. And what has old Lord Stormzy so wonderfully bestowed upon our nation? Rapping about violence and booty while telling black people to buy from other black businesses because, black folks are oppressed and good, unlike you stupid bigots. Got a problem with that? Take it up with the Met. Cambridge University, as I'm sure you'll know, has acted as something of a beacon in the world, representing the Anglo tradition of learning, discipline and breaking new ground in the field of human endeavour. Let's see what their latest Don has to say about colonialism.
British Empire is the darkest shit ever. The Commonwealth, that's the darkest shit ever. British Empire, Commonwealth. That's literally England going to countries and destroying communities, like putting there, and like Britain has kind of like, that was back in the day, like, that's nothing to do with us, like, you're all here.
Right, so a Cambridge-mandated insight on something as vast and complex as colonialism is now, Britain went over there, and messed up communities, it was the darkest shit ever, and now the people are here, and they're like, whatever, And people have the gall to say Britain's been on the downhill since the Blairite Revolution. But a last little note on the Stormster. Who is this woman in the background with her smug grin? This sort of liberal woman who's representative of one of our ancient institutions should not be grinning at the undermining of it. This is everything wrong with modern Britain. Yeah, I'm sure this woman thinks she's moral and wonderful and oh so virtuous, and it almost gets too much living in modern Britain. You need to get away from it all, rediscover your roots, say a prayer in peace, get back to some sanity. So you go into an Anglican church looking for a sombre rendition of Abide With Me, and this is what you find. Now, I can't play the audio here because YouTube might take the video down, but they're playing Lady Gaga's Born This Way in a church. Lady Gaga, for those who don't know, is basically Britney Spears with a gender studies degree, and Born This Way is one of these songs about, being trans and gay and how awesome that is. But you put all this together and you have to ask, how long can all of this last? The liberal system and our elites have created fractures in this country that we can no longer ignore, but they wish to keep ignoring them, which is just going to lead to more and more trouble down the line. These are crazy times, but I do believe if we're poised, we can navigate them correctly. It's what the sister channel is all about, which is focused on personal and spiritual transformation. Do check that out down below if you're interested. Other than that, do subscribe to this channel if you're new, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments.